Hello everyone, my name's Michelle Austen. I'm a visual artist from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Today is April the 3rd, 2024. I am a self-taught artist, and I say that lightly because I had a teacher that I worked with privately for over 30 years. She was my mentor, and she encouraged me to take courses with different artists over the years and at the university and through the College of Art in our city, which is now a university. But every Wednesday night I went to my art class. It was the one consistent thing that I did that nothing else ever really seemed to get in the way of, through raising my children and basically living life. When I think back about being a child, I was always creative. I was using my hands, making things, playing with things, playing outside. My favorite gifts were a wood burning set, and crocheting with my grandmother. I struck an early interest in art in junior high school, which is grade 7, 8, and 9, because I had another teacher that lit something in me. And from there, I continued to take art through high school. I got all the art awards in high school, but interestingly enough, I was quite good at math and science, and all the counselors told me to go into a medical field. The only other thing I ever wanted to be was a veterinarian, but I ended up getting married young and starting my family young and choosing that over going to university in a different city, ending up thinking I wanted to be an animal health technologist, and somehow being a medical lab technologist was the path that I chose at 18 years old. And so I started working in that field and remained working in that field for 13 years, still every Wednesday night going to my art class and taking different courses. My biggest influence was my teacher, Betty McDonald. She was an artist in Calgary that taught out of her home, and I credit a friend for introducing me to her and walking that path for over 30 years. I also am influenced by looking at museums, by travel, by studying master artists that also walked an artistic path, by reading their writings, by looking at their art. My art is inspired mostly by my life and all the things around me. Earlier on, it was my children. I loved animals. I loved nature. I loved the world of yoga, taught yoga for a while, and realized I was a better art teacher. So I practice yoga. It's a big part of my art practice. What I am focusing on right now is my upcoming show at Masters Gallery in Calgary. It's inspired from a trip 2 years ago to go see the monarch butterflies in a small village 2 hours outside of Mexico City in their natural habitat. It was a bucket list trip that I always wanted to do, and I finally managed to make it there. And this show 2 years later is a result of being inspired by that trip. It's called Becoming. I thought it was going to be some great, introduction for people to the endangerment of the monarch butterflies, but over the 2 years, it really was just a metamorphosis analogy of a journey that I think we all take through processes and through changes. And I'm excited that on April the 11th to 18th, the show will be exhibited at Masters Gallery in Calgary. One of the biggest challenges of being an artist is doing stuff like this, honestly. I feel quite nervous talking, listening to my voice, seeing myself in pictures and sharing my studio space, which is quite private to me, and I often think not very interesting to other people, but I guess it is. So I teach art privately out of a little backyard studio, and I've done that since my teacher retired. She basically just handed me all the stuff and said, "You're going to her now." And I was like, oh my. And so I set up a little studio in the backyard, and for 17 years, I've been teaching art. So turns out I have a bit to share, and I love to have a sense of community and like-minded people coming around. I think that it is most important, and it's important for us to be, because we work in, I'll speak for myself, I work in solitude most of the time, but I love being around and inspired by like-minded people. The other thing that comes to mind for being, I'm doing two things at once, but one of my biggest challenges of being an artist. I just did a blog on that, and I said, obviously there are financial uncertainties, self-defeating thoughts, and wearing a ton of hats. So learning a whole entrepreneurial job, really, but that is not my biggest challenge. To date, my biggest challenge was not being able to paint due to a brain injury. I, 1 year ago, got a concussion and blacked out. My brain kind of blacked out. So my imagination, my memory, my everything was gone, and it was my biggest challenge. It scared me a lot. My art changed in that time, but I also didn't have the focus to paint. So that was very concerning to me. But 6 months later, I'm pushing through that and proud to say that I'm getting better and my art is coming to life again. So that is very exciting. What advice I would give to my younger self? Paint your heart out, my dear, for the sole reason of filling it up and spreading the joy for the world far and wide. Hands down. I have tried every medium and technique in watercolor, pastel, pen and ink, acrylic, oil painting, lino cut, printing, pottery in the past. I think I love everything. My dad said, Michelle, you're mostly good at things that you do, but you need to focus on one thing. And so at a certain point, I took it as advice, and I decided to focus on painting. Oil painting primarily. I took a 5-year detour and worked in acrylic paint because I was having some reaction to the oil paint. But he is right on that. Focus has always been a bit of an issue because I have squirrel brain and I love to try new things. Everything kind of gets me excited. So I've, at one point, over very many years, started to paint full time, teaching on the side, but it didn't happen overnight. And my art teacher said Rome wasn't built in a day. So I think she's very true to that. I mostly listen to music when I paint. I love to listen to all types of music. And actually the musicians as being artists themselves inspire me. Occasionally I listen to some podcasts. I rarely have a silent studio, but once in a while, my studio is silent. The best reaction someone has had to my artwork is literally looking at it and bursting into tears, and they were happy tears. It's overwhelming to see actually somebody that can have a reaction like that to your work. But I thought it was interesting because I've had reactions to other people's artwork in the exact same way. So I love that we are more similar than different in that way of being human. The power of art to make somebody feel like that and move their energy was a beautiful thing to witness. So what I hope that people take away from my art work is feeling alive in themselves or waking up something in themselves. I hope that they recognize that despite a lot of things that are happening in this world, there is still beauty. And I think art helps us have different perspectives on things, or gives us different perspectives. We're all looking through it through our own veil, and we're changing all the time. And the viewer is changing all the time. So to me, that is the beauty of art and a life in art, is that we all come together for our own experiences and have our own experiences and share them. Yeah, so anyhow, thank you for listening. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope that you're creating something and maybe you resonate with something that I shared. Bye-bye.